General principles. Registrants act as gatekeepers of the integrity of the capital markets. They should not, by act or omission, facilitate conduct that brings the market into disrepute. As part of their gatekeeper role, registrants are required to establish the identity of and conduct due diligence on their clients under the Know Your Client or KYC obligation in Section 13.2. KYC information is essential for determining suitability in order to protect the client, the registrant, and the integrity of the capital markets. The KYC obligation requires registrants to take reasonable steps to obtain and periodically update information about their clients. The KYC process is an ongoing one which does not end after the initial KYC analysis is complete. Clients that are individuals. Registrants must collect information to establish the identity of the clients that are individuals. Registrants must take reasonable steps to confirm the accuracy of the information they collect in order to form a reasonable belief that they know the identity of an individual. Verifying a client's reputation. Paragraph 13.2(2)(a) requires registrants to make inquiries if they have cause for concern about a client's reputation, and to make all reasonable inquiries necessary to resolve the concern. This includes making a reasonable effort to determine, for example, the nature of the client's business or the identity of beneficial owners where the client is a corporation, partnership, or trust. See subsection 13.2(3) for additional guidance on identifying clients that are corporations, partnerships, or trusts. Identifying insiders. Under paragraph 13.2(2)(b), a registrant must take reasonable steps to establish whether the client is an insider of a reporting issuer or any other issuer whose securities are publicly traded. Regulators consider reasonable steps to include explaining to the client what an insider is and what it means for securities to be publicly traded. For purposes of this paragraph, reporting issuer has the meaning given to it in securities legislation, and other issuer means any issuer whose securities are traded in any public market. This includes domestic, foreign, exchange-listed, and over-the-counter markets, but does not include issuers whose securities have been distributed through a private placement and are not freely tradable. A registrant need not ascertain whether the client is an insider if the only securities traded for the client are mutual fund securities and scholarship plan securities referred to in paragraphs 7.1(2)(b). However, regulators encourage firms, when selling highly concentrated pooled funds, to inquire as to whether a client is an insider of the issuer of any securities held by the fund, notwithstanding the exemption provided in subsection 13.2(7). In addition, regulators remind registrants that they remain subject to the requirement in paragraph 13.2(2)(b) when they trade any other securities than those listed in paragraphs 7.1(2)(b). This exemption does not change an insider's reporting and conduct responsibilities. Clients that are corporations, partnerships, or trusts. Subsection 13.2(3) requires registrants to establish the identity of any person who owns or controls 25% or more of the shares of a client that is a corporation, or exercises control over the affairs of a client that is a partnership or trust. The regulators remind registrants that this is in addition to the requirement in paragraph 13.2(2)(a), which requires registrants to make inquiries if they have cause for concern about a client's reputation. If a registrant has cause for a concern about a particular client that is a corporation, partnership, or trust, they may need to identify all beneficial owners of such entity.